There we go.
There we go.
Good catch. Okay, so motion on the floor. All those in favor signify by raising your hand or saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded. Motion carried. Thank you. Number 3, approval of the minutes. So there were minutes that were circulated. You're moving them. Deputy Mayor Barry, is there a seconder? Thank you, Mayor Mood. Is there any questions or comments on the minutes? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor signify by raising your hand or saying aye. Contrary minded. Motion carried. Good. All right, so we're at number 4, business arising from the minutes. The first piece to that is 4.1, the terms of reference. So at our last meeting, we had a quick scan over the terms of reference. It was a draft. We looked it over a little bit. There were some changes to be made. I'm not sure if CAO Gushu, were you going to speak to that? Are you the one in charge of that?
Madam Chair, I didn't have anything to offer this afternoon on that.
Okay.
I believe there was some additional wording CAO Brooks had suggested. Was that circulated to the group?
I am not sure. It seems like a lot happened on the fly today, so I'll ask Vicki Pierce if she was able to attach it.
Yes, it was added around just after 3 there, a little bit later.
So, okay, so Madam Chair, if the group is able to go on the calendar invite, the document is likely linked there if there's a willingness to take a look at the suggested amended language.
Sure. Can people access that? Are you able to access that? Yes. Okay. So if you look at the terms of reference that were added, if you go down to composition, there's a paragraph that was added to our terms of reference. It's highlighted in yellow. Does everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay.
And Madam Chair, just for clarity, if people are looking to a meeting maker versus Victoria Pierce's email, most recent email has all the attachments. So if people are still looking.
Okay. So is there any discussion, any comments on the terms of reference? How does the group feel about the addition? Do you need a minute to kind of scan it, look at it, or? Are we okay with all of that? You're good with that? Yes? Okay, so are we at a point where we're going to move this terms of reference today? Do we feel like we're ready for that? Yes?
Sorry, Madam Chair. I mean, in the language of the terms of reference, it can always be
amended
down the line. So I think the language was pretty clear. If amendments are needed down the line, this committee can make those changes. So.
Right.
So moved.
So moved by Councillor Surratt. Do we have a seconder? Mayor Mood? Any questions or comments on that? Okay, all those in favor signify by raising your hand or saying aye. Contrary? Okay, motion carried. Thank you. Number 2, 4.2, we have an update from Mark Brophy. The floor is yours, Mark.
Great. So I looking for another attachment to be opened on the expansion milestone discussion.
You want that up on the screen, Mark?
Sure, if that helps everybody, sure.
Yeah. Do we get that on the screen, Vicki?
So thanks to Duran for all his help in presentations. So if you, the week by week to our July 6th hard deadline. So this week we actually weren't supposed to have any deliverables. This was a week that we were going to work with EXP on the concept plan and funding document, but we pushed hard and we have we're actually going to end up with two drafts. So we have a first draft concept plan and the text to review. So that's really good. That's really good. We are going to I want to explain the concept plan, and hopefully we'll put that on screen and review that as well. So it's kind of an iterative process. They come up with a initial construction budget, taking off soft costs. Then the architects work to that number. Then they do what's called a square foot estimate based on building size. Then they update the estimate. It's going to be plus or minus the number. And then either they can add or they can subtract, and typically that means subtract. So their target construction price right now is 24 million. They've come up with a concept to support 24 million. Now that it's back to Hanscom to do this numbers one more time, and then we will have a more formal concept plan next Wednesday. So we're sort of in between that step. But I still look at it as we're a week ahead with an extra iteration. The previous application was 11 pages with a lot of appendices. This one now we're on to 30 pages with more behind it. So that is ready to be reviewed. What I'm requesting is the 3 CAOs take a lead. They can review with staff, council, whoever they see makes sense. Again, it's going to be a hard deadline. I'd like to get all comments back by Monday, update Tuesday, and we'll be back to this table next Wednesday. And that's going to be awful close to what we need for the funding. So that's kind of a status where we are. Tomorrow there's a meeting to start to look at the actual online application, and that goes tomorrow morning. So there's we are.
Perfect.
Second slide, I think it's worthwhile just taking one quick look at that one. If we could advance that to the next slide.
Right.
So the next slide kind of shows the overall project process. And I really don't need to get in detail this one, but we are in first block initiation, and the final deliverable is the funding document. I see this document going two directions. It's going to go to the federal grant we're targeting for sure. And ultimately that very same document is going to end up at the province. So that's going to basically conclude the project initiation. The project will start when we get to the third block. That means we have funding and we start to award design and then ultimately construction. But the second block, there's actually work that can be done while we're waiting for funding. So that to me is a topic for a future meeting, things that we can do, who can be tagged to do that, and things like that. So basically on the overall life cycle of a project, we're in the first block, and we can get into the planning stage after July 6th.
Okay. Was there anything else that you wanted to share with us?
Unless if you wanted to take a quick look at the concept plan, I'd be happy to do that.
Would the group like to see that? Yes, yes, okay. We could have that pulled up.
Here we go. I think it's fair to say that at the end of the day, it'll look different than this. But so basically, next meeting, we're going to have this updated, and the architect is will join the call if you wish, and he can walk us through the design. But in a nutshell, you've got a expanded entrance, and they're calling it a street going straight down through. And sort of a expanded lobby, and then below you see the pool, the leisure pool, the big change rooms, and then off to the left, dotted line, future field house. It's the second slide I think might get some attention if you go down the next one. So if you look around the big rink, there's a purple outline. This is a funding document, and there's a lot that could happen there. But basically this addresses the number 3 request from the community to have a walking track. A lot of work to make this happen. Basically we're putting a pedway at the back. So you're going to go from that stair, cut through the precast, come across, land on the boiler room roof, and break through and come around. Okay. if we're successful on the grant, we'll have a lot of mechanical revisions, which means we can make changes to the mechanical room to clear the path along there. Along there, along where what's shown there is a big air duct, there's an exhaust fan, and it's a bit tight. And then you have to come in, I mean, there's some work to do. The architect has never looked at this, but this is for the purpose of the document. We're ticking another box that this is what the community is asking for. It may look a lot different than that. I think the pedway will actually be pushed off the building a little bit and be a space. But anyway, this is just a possibility and it will work well in our document. If you go down below, there's a second story lobby, and then there's multi-purpose rooms, and the wellness room is the fitness room number 6. So kind of a lot more compact than last time. Designed if we want to put a door out to a future field house and down the road. And I think it basically covers most of the program that steering committee talked a month or so ago. So starting point.
Okay, sounds good. Are there any questions or comments for Mark? Yes, Councillor Dares.
Yes, forgive me, my sound cut out there for about 4 minutes and I may have missed this, but I don't see any accommodation there for a walking track. So has that been eliminated?
No, if you look at the second slide on the concept on the second floor, it's the purple line going around the rink.
Okay, thank you, Mark. I missed that. Thank you.
And the part you missed, we have to build a pedway from the stair across, landing on the boiler room roof, some mechanical relocations, and then break back in the building.
Okay, that's
So
good.
you're going to use 2 sides of existing rink. You're going to have to go through the lounge where the 50/50 tickets are sold, break that wall and put some kind of a door there, and then go around. So yeah, it's an option, but it'll satisfy what we need for the funding document.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mark? So next week, Mark, we're hoping to have the architect with an updated floor plan and have the architect come in and discuss that with us?
Yeah, he'll do a walkthrough how he sees it. We'll have I really hope that we can get comments back on Monday so that the text part of the application can be pretty close to finalized. I'm going to have a little better estimate from the cost planner that we can have that. So we're almost like 99% there. One question I had for this committee, and I'm glad and it was kind of discussed last week. I got a very strong suggestion from Alan to do an energy study of the complex. That is really going to feed into the climate resilience section. I've got that proposal for the consultant. It's just over $4,000. And we don't have to do it, but it's a real positive add to the application, and I would recommend we do it. So the energy model was not part of the initial proposal, but I would recommend that we task them to do that, and it'll be included in the document.
Okay, so let's talk about that. How do people feel about that? An energy study to be part of our document. Deputy Warden Cunningham. You're muted.
I'll put that on the floor as a motion to discuss that that the steering committee engage in the energy study is set forth by our engineer, by
Thank
Mr.
you.
Brophy.
Councillor Dares, you're willing to second that?
Yes, thank you. I will.
Okay. Conversation, questions? Warden Muse, did you have something you wanted to say?
Not on, it wasn't on this motion. I have a question, but I'll wait till
Okay,
we deal with this motion.
okay. Are there questions on the motion?
If I could, there's one thing I could add, that part of the budget they've got is a full energy or a building envelope upgrade to get to the net zero, which they found opportunities using. There is some boiler room work using the excess heat from the pool and a rink is a perfect combination. Heat is generated from rinks and the pool needs heat. So they've got a lot of built in there, insulations, improving doors, all part of it. The energy model basically validates this, that it's going to work. So it's a real powerful document to have, and I'm glad it's being recommended.
Excellent. CEO Muse, did you want to say something?
Just reason behind the recommendation, the FCM model for energy, net zero energy for our building required this. So I think that the work that you will do will be useful in this application in the future. It will be useful to you. So it will continue to be useful, and even if it's an unsuccessful, slap my face, but if it's an unsuccessful application, you'll still get use for this work. It may have to be altered, but at least you'd have something. It also shows this committee, it shows to the applicant, as the applicant to the receiver of the application, that you're serious about it. You're not just talking about green, you actually went and modeled it. So that I think that strengthens the application, and it gives, in terms of FCM net zero, it was an actual mandatory thing, which is why Mark and I had that conversation, and I appreciate Mark raising that today.
Thank you. CEO Brooks.
Madam Chair, so a question through you to Mark, and maybe Durham can chime in on this too. So the existing footprint of the Mariner Center is currently involved in some work with the Western Regional Enterprise Network on energy and biomass, and we have a contact through that consulting firm. Just wondering if we can leverage his most recent recommendation on some background work to include this concept as well.
You're going to be really pleased when you read the document. It's all referenced, and there's an appendix with his proposal. He's actually given me an initial energy study. This has already been incorporated. So yeah, that's done.
Thank you.
Durham.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Great point, Victoria. And so just as an aside, I just spent the day with two seasoned folks from the sector who probably have 35 years each managing facilities, and over our lunch break, it came up. They just reminded me of the opportunity around heat recovery with the expansion and their experience with those setups, and it's a very, very significant benefit to the operating costs over time. So I know that's a consideration, but it's just so timely. Just happened in the last couple hours. I had that conversation just here in Yarmouth, as we spent the day in the Mariners on Main location. So it's timely for this conversation. So I know that will be emphasized in the broader context of this net zero effort in the green submission.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who would like to speak? Okay, seeing nobody, we have a motion on the floor. All those in favor signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Contrary minded, motion carried. Warden Muse, did you still have something you wanted to say?
It was just at the beginning. Did I understand that this drawing was based on a $24 million?
24 construction. So
Okay.
you add to that design, project management, different kinds of contingencies. They've assumed a 1-year escalation based on start.
Okay.
But I'll have more detail now. But they had to work back from the 30 to get a construction number, and then go with that. So right now it's sitting at 24 construction.
Okay, good. I wasn't sure if that's what I understood.
No.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to make one comment about estimates. Class D is plus or minus 25%. I've never seen one less. So just always keep that in mind.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Next, we have 4.3 update from Frank Grant on letters for the community.
Okay, thank you, Chair Albright. I had a chance to connect with Scott Surratt. We were just brainstorming some groups that at first we were thinking of like groups that would be using the facility. I think the shift now is to contact all of our community groups and ask them for letters of support for the Mariner Center expansion project. The draft letter of the template for a letter of support is a draft. It does have some changes that need to be made because it's more referencing Mariners on Main. So that should be changed to reflect the Mariner Center expansion project. So at first, again, we were thinking of contacting all the hockey groups, all the skating groups, all the swim groups, all the people that are currently using that facility, focusing on organizations, because letters of support from organizations represent multiple numbers of people. But I think the suggestion, you know, of how do we know who our potential users are? So I think the shift has changed to contact all of our community groups, because who knows, the Quilting Bee or the Rug Hooking Club could be looking for rental space. So contact them all, ask them, you know, for their support. And, you know, in my experience, when I've been asked to give support towards a cause or a project, oftentimes a small template is made available so that it makes things a little bit easier to add in the info, get that to do done. You know, a lot of our community groups aren't professional with note taking and all that stuff. They handwrite letters, that sort of thing. So my thinking is that yes, the template, if multiple people use the template, some of the parts will look similar, but there is a section in the body of the template for that group or organization to say how they support the project and how it relates to their own activities. So, you know, that's what we're thinking of doing, but I'm open to suggestions and ideas on how we approach that, how we make those initial contacts. I'm thinking that the easiest thing to do is by email, because I have that list. That's our ongoing community organization contact list. We can share that list with this committee, and every one of us know other groups that may be small in stature, but mighty in activity. If there's someone missing, we can add them on and we can maximize the list. So that's where we're at. As soon as, you know, we have a draft blurb to go for that email, it can just be sent to multiple people in all three districts.
Okay, thank you, Frank. Mayor Moon, did you want to say something?
Yeah, first of all, my video keeps going in and out. I'm not hiding from anybody. No, I was just wondering with regard to that letter that Frank's talking about, are we going to run this by the communications person to make sure that we're getting exactly what we need? I'm just trying to tie what the community groups are going to say with what the federal government, provincial government need to hear and need to know. We don't want to get 2 letters or 200 letters that aren't focused on exactly what we need them to share, I guess.
What does the group think about that? So Mayor Mood is suggesting that we take the template of the letter and we make some amendments to it and have the communications person look it over before we send it to community groups. CAO Gushue.
Thank you. Just for clarification, Mayor Mood, if I may, Mayor Mood, are you referring to national? We talked about engaging national.
Yeah, I actually am.
Okay.
And I am just, it might just be a thin line, but my head is just saying that they might say, make sure that you ask the community groups A, B, and C, because that's what the funders are going to be looking for. We just don't want them to do letters and then have to go back and say, can you tell us? That's all. I mean, I could be way out there, but I don't think so.
Duran?
Mayor Mood, I actually in line with your line of thinking there. If it's a quick turn, are they already engaged? Like since the last conversation we had?
They're not engaged because we had to okay it, but I did reach out last night just to say, we're having a meeting today and could you get started right away? And the answer was yes, they can hop on. They can jump right in.
It is a July 6th deadline. And
yeah. I told them that.
Yeah, if there's a
Very
quick
clearly.
turn with them and Frank can still meet his deadline, then maybe Frank's the best to judge whether or not timing will allow for the cycle with all these folks that we want to get a response from.
Well, I can make the changes to draft 1 and make draft 2, and then I don't have the contact with National, but I can flip that to someone around this call to flip that to the communications person.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't know how it's going to work with National. What I thought was that maybe the CAOs and the chair could hop on. They certainly don't need all of us. Just to give the background, where we are, all that stuff, and that letter could be the first thing that they look at. Might take like 15 minutes.
Yeah, I don't think it's I don't think it's a big lift for them.
It's not.
But it's more about when can we ask them, and can we ask them tomorrow?
We can ask them tomorrow if we okay the money. I mean, if you want me to take the letter and send it to them and ask that question, I can do that too tonight. But it's not my, you know.
Right. Yep. Okay. CEO Brooks? You're muted. I had just lost.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I think the most important thing about this approach is that we have to remember that not only is it a competitive application, it's extremely competitive. And Mayor Mood is absolutely right. The people who will be reviewing and scoring and making decisions, they'll be looking for some specific things. And I think working with the team at National, I think that we'll have some insight into how to position our project more towards the winner's circle. So I couldn't agree more that we should leverage that opportunity.
Thank you. Duran?
Just continuing to think out loud. As soon as Mark or whoever makes the call is comfortable as context for National, they should get the draft proposal. I mean, there's a lot of context there they can draw upon for the themes, so to speak.
Right. Councillor Allen? No, sorry. Is there anybody else who had anything that they wanted to say? Yes, go ahead.
I think it's a great idea. I agree with Mayor Mood, and in our conversations that I've had with Mark and Nicole over the last little bit, I always keep saying it's all about hitting home runs. We're not here to have a walk, a base hit, a double or a triple. We're coming in with our hard hitters. And I think, the more people we can have to support us to make our application, spot on, we go in with our 10 out of 10 and try, we're way better ahead. So I think, engaging National is the best way to go. And if it puts us in a better position, why not? Right. So I say we get that started.
Sounds good. Warden Cunningham?
With our 10 out of 10 to go.
Yes, thank
If
you.
it puts us in a better position, why not? Right. So I say we get that started.
In regards to getting letters of support and stuff like that, I think we should also be getting a written letter of support from both MLAs in Yarmouth County and also our MP.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's very important to be part of the home run.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Is there anybody else who wanted to comment on that? Go ahead, Frank.
So I can redraft, make draft 2 of that letter more easily transferable to National. I just need direction on who to send it to.
Okay. So who does that go to? Would it go to, go ahead, Councillor Surratt?
I was just, and this is just wondering, and people can correct me, maybe Chief Robinson can answer that. Would a letter from the AFN help us at all bit more? You're on this committee and that, so I don't know, would that be a help? Maybe you could answer, Chief Robinson, or somebody.
I appreciate that question, and it's something I could certainly look into. I can't answer right now. I'll give some thought to. Thank you.
Thank you.
But anything I can do to help, of course, that's why I'm here. So leave that with me.
Sounds good. So who does that letter, who will Frank send that? Does he send it to me? Does he send it to the CAOs? Where does that go? Does
So
he
we
send it-
just, sorry.
No, go ahead, Pam.
Yeah, we just have to figure out who is going to handle that first call with National.
Right.
That's what I think. And I've said before, I think it could be Mark and the CAOs or a couple of CAOs, but yeah, as soon as we okay National, again, I have no problem just sending that out and copying everybody in, or just handing over her email. I send that to you, Nicole, and you can figure out, we just have to figure out who's going to be on that first call, and,
Okay.
I mean, it's three or four people. There's Jeff and Rachel and Victoria and Ellen and you.
Okay. What did the CAOs think? They're not saying anything. Go ahead, Jan. Kushu.
Yeah.
Okay, so why don't, if I assume we're going to make the decision about National further on the agenda.
We are.
If that decision is positive, then if Mayor Mood could provide you with the email, if you don't mind, obviously I'm more than willing to participate in a call as early as tomorrow to help get them started. But perhaps as chair, if you make the initial contact and say just I'll clear anything I need to in my calendar, and I'm sure others will too, to expedite the process.
Okay.
And Chief Robinson, the reason I said Rachel is because the elected just kind of step back and let the rest of them do their thing. But by all means, if it's you, because I don't know how it works there, but whatever you say.
Thank
Frank?
you for that.
Just make some quick changes, and I'm going to send this redraft of the sponsorship topic to Chair Albright and staff lead Mark Roth.
Okay, sounds good. Did somebody else have their hand raised? I thought I saw somebody else. Did I miss anyone? Oh, go ahead, Warden Muse. Sorry
Yeah.
about that.
No, I think maybe what I was going to say has already been determined because when Mayor Mood was talking about that, Mayor Mood, you've been in contact with National. You're the one who's been in contact with National all along, right? So far. And I
Yeah.
thought maybe you should just keep going. But if it goes, perhaps going through the chair is the way to go anyway.
Yeah, I agree, Warden. It's through the chair. The only reason, I just reached out to say, would you be interested in this body of work? That's as much as I did. And I just told them that I would set them up with the chair and whoever else was going to take that file.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I'm out. Whoop, see ya.
All right.
Trevor, go ahead. Sorry about that.
Right, I think in addition to, and I'll just throw this, I don't think, but I'm going to suggest that a possibility that certainly in addition to writing the MLA, or two MLAs, I guess, and our MP to sort of garner their support through the letter, it may be also wise for us to ask, that those three individuals meet with this group to talk about the steps forward and what type of activity they could undertake to move our project along. It's probably the biggest project that Yarmouth's seen in many decades, and I think we're going to need those three folks' direct involvement in this as politicians to move the file forward. So I'll put that out there for discussion's sake, and maybe we can talk about that a little bit.
Okay. Go ahead, Mayor Mood.
I still think that this is all, the letters to the MP and the MLA and everything else. I think this is all part of the body of work that they are going to suggest that we do. I think everything's just going to end up being a list of make sure this is what you do. this is what you're asking them for, all those pieces. So I don't think, yeah, I think it's easier if we just don't make all those decisions and let them tell us what the right way to go is. That's what they do.
Is there anybody else? So I think Mark is still on the line. Mark, I'm just wondering, when I'm thinking about all of these steps, what's the absolute latest you want these letters by?
Letters can come actually at the very end. It's just demonstrating support, and we're going to have a one section in the body of the document commenting on how there's good, exceptional community support, and the rest of them just get filled into an appendix, in the appendix. So they actually can come last week.
Okay. I just wanted to be sure that we'd have enough time for everything we need to do. Is there anybody else who had anything they wanted to add? Okay, so really, we kind of have to wait until we make sure that we've made a motion to engage National, which is coming on the agenda, and then we'll talk about those next steps with National. Is that okay with everybody? Does that make sense? Okay, all right. So we're going to move on. Next, we have update on resolutions. So the 3 councils were asked to go back to their councils to pass a resolution that was necessary for the application. Our council last night passed our resolution, and I'm just kind of wondering how it went with the other councils. So is there anybody willing to share? Go ahead, CEO Brooks.
Madam Chair. So I've corresponded with council and let them know that I was in the process of drafting a resolution, and they're just waiting for me to give them that draft and to ask the warden to call a special meeting. So we should have ours next week.
Okay, thank you. What about the town? Did that go anywhere with the town? Is there anybody?
Yeah, sorry, I thought Mayor Mood might speak to it. Town council's meeting tomorrow night.
Okay. Sounds good. That was just, we just wanted an update. So ours is passed and we're waiting. Within the next week, we'll have the other 2. Okay, sounds good. Next, we have update 4.5, update on funding approvals from the municipality of the District of Argyle and the municipality of the town of municipality of Yarmouth. So again, we met last night and we had talked about last week how the town had previously passed a motion for discretionary funds. So we had talked about a limit of $100,000 for all 3 councils, so that when we came up to the part of the discussion last week and we were talking about National and we were looking at hiring a firm and we weren't sure because we didn't have any extra money, we talked about possibly going back to our own councils to approve some extra funds. So we had our council meeting last night and we approved our portion of the 100,000. So we approved, I believe it was $30,666 last night. So our council approved that. So has that been done for Modi?
Yes, Madam Chair, is done.
Excellent. Okay, so we're all set for that. We're ready to go on that. So we have some discretionary funds. Excellent. Was there anybody else who wanted to say anything on that? Yes, Councillor Allen.
So what, is this a good time to move, to make a move that we engage National now that we know that the discretionary funds have been approved?
I think so.
So if that's the case, I'd like to make a motion that I'm not sure exactly the corporate name, but I'm going to use the word National, that we engage National as a consulting firm for our expansion project.
Excellent. Thank you. Do we have a seconder?
Second,
Seconded by Councillor Surratt. Any conversation on that? Any comments? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Contrary, motion carried.
So Madam Chair, I'm going to send you the email right away.
Okay.
And copy Kristen Hines in it. So you're good to go.
Excellent. Sounds good. The ball keeps rolling. It's good stuff. Next, we have 4.6 AFN partnership update. Could we have Steve? Could you give us an update, please?
So obviously things went really well. Miraculously, after our last meeting, I went for a drive and seen Deb or Chief Robinson out for a walk. We had a great discussion about the importance of including AFN in on our projects moving forward, not just on this. I see this as a chance for many things that we do. So it's important, I think, to include it. And the feedback that I've got back from the email that I sent out, I believe all councils believe the same, and very happy to log on today and see both Rachel and Chief Robinson here, and hope this is a start of a great partnership moving forward. So welcome to the table. Thank you for being here. We appreciate your time, and hopefully this is the foundation moving forward. So great progress there, and I'm a firm believer in flow, and just when I seen her walking, I thought this is meant to be, and our discussion was great, and here we are. So well.
Thanks,
Thank you very
Steve.
much.
Thank you, Steve, for that. You know, growing up in Yarmouth all my life and being a part of the community and then getting into the politics of First Nations for the last 34 years has taken most of my time at the higher governance level. But when it comes to Yarmouth and certain places, I thought, well, yeah, let's just see what I can do to help, and it's an honor and a privilege for me to be here, and I'm glad that I'm really happy about this. And Rachel will be following up on anything that I need to do or on the administrative side. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Thanks.
Thank you. We're very happy to have you with us, both of you. Excellent. Okay, so any other comments? Going to move on to number 5, new business 5.1. There is a draft press release that is soon going to be going out. So are we going to share that on the screen as well today? Yes? Or yeah, no? Was that something we were going to share? Or did people read it?
Do you want me to share it? I'm hoping people read it at this point, Madam Chair.
Have people already read the press release? Okay, so how do we feel about that? Are we willing to go ahead, Councillor Allen?
I see that it's leaving quotes from others if desired. I still believe we should have a quote from our MLA and maybe even our MP in this. Not necessarily, how do I say it? Not necessarily saying there's money or anything like that, just in support of the community moving forward with this. I believe that just will excite the public. I said it last week and I'll say it again. I believe that we should have something from them if we're doing a press release, just showing their support, that they are behind what we're doing, not monetarily at this point, just something from, and I've had a conversation. I see Zach once in a while. I had a conversation with Zach. Oh, it's been a week or a week and a half ago. And he said that he would, he didn't have a problem making, some type of comment for this. I just think it would, as far as releasing a press release, I think it would go a long way to the public knowing that everyone in the community is behind it.
Okay. Thank you. Trevor?
Yeah, I read it, and it is pretty lengthy, but there's lots that's gone on certainly in the last little bit around this project, so that's very, very positive. Having said that, I think that we should also make sure that we do, mention that this is all contingent on federal and provincial, support in terms of funding. And that we're looking forward to working with those partners to make this happen. So there's really no mention of that. And I think there should also be an accentuation on the mobilization of the community as a whole and the importance of that in the letter writing campaign. Certainly communicating how important it is to the community. And obviously we all know it's important because we're here as their elected representatives to get this work done. But I think those are some elements that should be included in the press release.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? Okay, so what I heard was, not seeing anybody else offering. So I heard that there should be mention, a quote from our MP MLA, that we should mention the fact that the project is contingent on funding from the feds, from the province, as well as a push from the community for support in terms of letters. Or those the three things that I heard? Sound good? So how do we feel about that? Do we want to add those three things in? Trevor did mention that it was lengthy. Do we want to add length to it? Councillor Surratt?
I think the Councillor Allen, Daniel Allen is bang on. I really believe that the MLAs, MP should be there on that letter. I know it's, like Trevor said, it's a little long, but you know what? It doesn't hurt, and it shows, hey, these guys supporting us. Hey, to me, it means a lot. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? CAO Brooks.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just, we could just offer that if there are certain elements that are more important to the committee, we can try to abbreviate some of the technical aspects that are included, and just give the weighting in the press release to the issues that are most important to the committee.
Okay. Any other comments? CAO Muse.
I guess a slightly altered point of view might be that we do the press release as part, because it's our, it's community-led project, led by this group, led by 3 municipal units. And then we impress upon the MLAs and MPs to provide their own press release in response to. That way they could provide their own independent input. That's, I guess, another alternate point of view. I think everybody in the room recognizes the importance of having the MLAs and the MPs on board for this project. I guess my only concern would be how long will it take for them to actually add in what they'd like to add, and then does it get altered by other levels that other political partners that may want to be very careful about how things are said. And so by the time you get through that, your press release is 7 days later and you're still not released. That way you might, I think the intent is excellent to get them engaged, but we may have to get them to engage separately for those reasons. But I leave that to the board to decide, just altering an alternate point of view with the same intent.
Thank you. Deputy Warden Cunningham.
Right, provided that were the way we were to go, I think that would, at that juncture, it would be more important that we focused in on the federal and provincial input being critical to moving the project forward, or funding more specifically.
Is the press release in an attachment somewhere? Are we able to, I believe?
It is in the email.
Calendar invite. Yeah.
Okay.
Gloria Pierce is busting up.
Okay. So does somebody else have a comment? What is the wish of this group? What do we want to do with the press release? What's our decision today? Go ahead, Duran.
I'm not commenting on the decision. I was more I maybe just want the group to make sure that the title and the subtitle deliver on the intent of what we had spoken about in prior meetings. But there is a lot of productive work that's happened recently, a lot of momentum's building, a lot of positive energy and intermunicipal cooperation. And so I just want to make sure that the groups here looking at the title, and Mike, he got the intent there with because they're going to, the press release will be grabbed based on the title, is my understanding. So make sure it sizzles.
Yeah, the idea, just if I may, the idea was to basically provide a simple, I mean, it's a bit lengthy, it could get longer maybe, but just to give some key highlights of what the committee's been up to, just as an update to the community. So it wasn't so much a focus on, I'm wondering if maybe having quotes from MP and MLA might be something that we discuss through with National, if we're going to engage them, and maybe even National gets a look at this press release first. Now that we're adding these things in. That's a new thing too. Maybe we add in the press release that we've engaged National. So not to complicate things, but if you take it back to just what it is now, my intent was just to keep it as to a simple sort of update to the community on some key things that have happened with the group. So it looks like we're meeting regularly now. So we have lots of opportunities to do more press releases where we have more quotes from more people, input from National, and that sort of thing. So I would say keep it short and safe right now, or wait until we talk to National.
Mike, you bring up a good point. This is one of many releases that we'll be making as a group over this marathon. Yeah.
It's going to get busy, I think, is what,
Yeah, right
I'm
on.
saying.
Right,
Right
we
on.
don't have to get everything in this one because there will be subsequent press releases coming. Mayor Mood, did you have something to say?
I agree. Like we just need to say to the community, this is what we've been doing. We're moving forward. We don't need quotes from, I don't feel like we need quotes from everybody. And like Mike said, I mean, we're hiring a firm that does this. We just don't want to put too much out there for them to say, you know what, you should have maybe hauled back a little bit, and these are the steps you take. We're not the experts here, they are.
Councillor Surratt?
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we send the press release. Just certainly totally agree with Mike. Yeah, it's time to get something out there for people to know what's going on, because I'm being asked, it's, prior to being in the hospital, but I was being asked all the time, what's going on, what's going on. So I certainly make that motion that the press release go out.
Okay, do we have a seconder on that? Okay, Mayor Mood? Any comments on that, questions? So to clarify, Councillor Surratt, do you want the press release to go out before we send it to National, or do you want it to go out basically as is?
As is.
Okay. So any discussion on that?
Is Mayor Mood okay with that, Nicole?
Yep, she is. Okay, seeing no discussion, no questions. All right, all those in favor signify by raising your hand or saying aye. Contrary minded. Motion carried. Okay, so the press release will go out. Thank you for your work on that, Mike.
Thank you.
So that is pretty much our agenda, unless there's anything else anybody. Warden, you're looking for the press release? It was in the email that we got from Vicky. Yeah,
I had seen it, but I can't find it anymore.
okay. I know, we get those, everything kind of gets buried underneath all the other emails. Anything else?
I can send it to you, Danny. I was just going to say.
Okay. I know I've got it. I've read it, but I just want to go over it again, and for some reason I can't find it in my emails.
On its way.
Perfect. CEO Gushu.
I guess if we're done with that item, I just wanted to circle back and ask Mark if he needed a motion around that energy study.
Oh, yes, thank you.
If I'm allowed to tell them to go, it's basically a sub-consultant's disbursement, just over $4,000.
Okay. So our best bet is to make a motion around that. So can we have somebody make that motion to get the energy study, get Mark to get the energy study begun? Do we have somebody willing to make that motion? Thank you, Mayor Mood. Do we have a seconder? Thank you, Deputy Mayor Barry. Any questions or comments on that? We kind of already discussed it. All right, all those in favor signify by raising your hand or saying aye. Contrary, motion carried. Thank you for that, CEO. I almost forgot about it. All right, if there's nothing else, we'll set our next meeting date. So some of the topics for next meeting, we will likely have the architect here to go over the revised floor plan with us. Mark will obviously give us an update because I think he's a standing item on our agendas. Frank will probably have an update about community groups for the next meeting, and we'll probably have an update for national as well. Is there anything else anybody can think of that we need to add?
I'm hoping to have some cool renderings to show you.
Okay. Jeff?
Yeah, so just around the discretionary funds and how we will cash flow that. Director of Finance, Jerry Varon, will be in touch with the CAOs and determine a billing frequency and how we're gonna handle that, because Mariner Center doesn't carry a lot of working capital. And so we need to get the funding in so that we can pay the bills in a timely manner.
Okay. Sounds good. Go ahead, Mayor Mood.
Yeah, National's ready to go. So they just said, send along any relevant material. They can hop on a call with you tomorrow.
Okay.
You just figure out who you want on that call and we're good to go.
Okay. Sounds good. All right, so yes, go ahead, Steve.
I just like to say I feel the momentum and I think it's great. When we sat in that room there a little while ago and figured out our percentages and all that, you know, I just feel like we came together. I just think it's great. I look forward to Wednesdays at 4 p.m. to get the updates, and thanks to Brophy for all you're doing, and for the CAOs for jumping in, and Mike and everybody. I'm just glad to be a part of this team, and we're not just talking the talk anymore. We're finally walking the walk. So it's great. Let's keep hitting home runs.
Totally agree. Okay,
you know,
go ahead, Drew.
to that point, I think the first motion approving the new terms of reference nails that, Steve. Like if we go back and we read that every few weeks to remind
Let's keep hitting home runs.
Yeah. Remind ourselves that terms of reference repeats our mandate very clearly. So I think you nailed it there, Steve.
Excellent. Okay, so everybody's okay with next Wednesday at 4 o'clock? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So we will see you all again next Wednesday at 4 o'clock. Yes, Jeff? Jeff's not okay.
I may have an error in my calendar. Mayor Mood, do we have an appointment next Wednesday that's going to carry past 4 o'clock?
I have 1 till 5.
Yeah,
Okay.
me too.
So is there a better day?
Thursday would work better for me, but or later after 5.
Either option is open, so we could have it Wednesday after 5, or we could have it Thursday at 4. How does the group feel?
Either works for me.
Doesn't matter to me.
Works for me.
And they both work. So why don't we stick to our regular date and let's say a time of 5:30? Is that okay? Okay, so Wednesday at 5:30 next week.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Can we have a motion to adjourn? Thank you, Warden Muse. Do we have a seconder on that? Thank you, Steve. And all those in favor signify by saying aye. I'm sure you're in favor. Contrary. Thank you, everybody.
You're a
Really
great
appreciate
gang,
you
everyone.
taking the time.
Keep up the good work.
Thanks,
Great
everyone.
meeting, guys.
Cheers.